a fixed election date, term limits for prime ministers, and instituting legislation to impeach corrupt politicians. That's among the policies the Jamaica Labour Party will implement if it's returned to power. TVJ's Dara Smith now reports on what Mr. Holness said at the JLP mass rally.
No gimmicks, no tricks, no deception. A commitment Andrew Holness says he's willing to give to Jamaicans if they elect his Jamaica Labour Party to office come February 25. The issue of a fixed election date has been on the discussion table for some time. So the JLP leader is committing to change the current system where the Prime Minister decides when is election. He told the JLP supporters that the time to change the system is now, and he's going to make the legislative changes soon after taking office.
Within our first 100 days of government, we will start the legislative process to fix the date for general elections in Jamaica. This will bring greater certainty to the political process. And by the way, the date will be a date after the budget and not before.
Also within the first 100 days, starting the legislative process to introduce term limits to the office of the Prime Minister. Another commitment to start within the first 100 days, starting the legislative process to institute impeachment proceedings in Parliament.
This will add another layer of protection of the Parliament to ensure that only members of unquestioned integrity sit in the Parliament.
Mr. Holness told the JLP supporters that there are many forces pulling at Jamaica's value system. He believes issues relating to the Caribbean Court of Justice and the repeal of the Buggery Law should be a decision of the people. Hence, he promised that at a convenient time, he will hold a referendum on the issues.
You can decide what you want. These things are important. They define the Jamaican state, and the Parliament shouldn't on their own make that decision. You should say how your country should be defined.
Andrew Holness defended his 10-point growth plan should his party win the next election. One of his plans is to move the personal income tax threshold to $1.5 million. That plan has been criticized by some economists. But Mr. Holness says his plan has been studied carefully. The economy did not crash, nor was it wrecked.
So when we pass the money down to you to spend, you know what happened? The farmer who used to plant 1 acre of yam, now will have to consider that he needs to plant 2 acres. The dressmaker who used to just stitch on 1 machine, now have to go say, you know what, I need to take on a little girl and another little machine because I get in demand now for more school uniform.
Dara Smith, TVJ News.
Still on the political scene, Prime Minister and PNP President Portia Simpson-Miller has blasted the opposition leader's growth plan, calling it a 10-point con. Mrs. Simpson-Miller accused Andrew Holness of trying to trick the electorate as she addressed party supporters in Yallis and Thomas last night. TVJ's Fashion Brown has more.
The Prime Minister and the PNP President again insisting that her party will be victorious come February 25. But the 10-point action plan outlined by opposition leader Andrew Holness last week did not escape her attention.
It is a 10-point con. That can't work. Not with our economic situation. How is he going to pay more people more? That's just an election gimmick, an election trick. Do not trick the people because you know it cannot work.
Mrs. Simpson-Miller is asking if the opposition leader is going to reduce taxes. Where will he get the money?
Politicians must never talk rubbish on a political platform because the people of the country is going to be holding you to it. Anyhow, he will not be getting to Jamaica House. So any promise he's making now is just empty promises.
She again touted what she described as the achievements of her administration. Mr. Simpson Miller told the party supporters to ensure that they stay with the PNP.
So when the green man comes with his empty promises, the people have a Bob Marley tune for him. They say, here comes the con man, coming with his con plan. But we won't take no bribe. We have got to stay alive.
The meeting was another opportunity to drum up support for East St. Thomas MP Dr. Fenton Ferguson and PNP West St. Thomas candidate Marsha Francis. Industry Minister Anthony Hilton says the government has plans to develop St. Thomas.
14 years ago, St. Thomas has not moved forward. It has gone backward. Western St. Thomas has not moved forward. It has gone backwards. You can't afford the green people anymore. They're too expensive.
Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
People's National Party representative for St. Thomas Eastern, Dr. Fenton Ferguson, has dismissed reports that he attempted to intimidate JLP supporters in the constituency. Speaking at a PNP meeting in Yala, St. Thomas last night, Dr. Ferguson said allegations by the JLP's representative, Delano Seabright, that he bullied the supporters on Saturday are false.
My history in this parish for 37 years is well known. When it comes to political violence, when it comes to intimidation, when it comes to political politics, it's not this politician we're talking about.
Mr. Seabright and members of the JLP St. Thomas Eastern campaign management team yesterday filed a complaint with the Morant Bay Police.
With information about taxes owed by politicians now a major talking point, the finance minister is calling for adherence to the laws on privacy. Dr. Phillips, who is also the PNP's campaign director, believes that politicians should not be singled out in the requirement to be tax compliant. His comments come against the background of news that another PNP member has been forced to address tax-related issues. More from TVJ's Andrew Cannon.
Last week, the PNP was forced to confront burning queries about John Paul White's company's tax obligations. Today, Dr. Peter Phillips was asked to address whether there are similar concerns with other PNP members following newspaper reports that a member of the ruling party has been asked to prove his compliance.
I am not in a position to discuss anybody's specific tax problem. In the specific case, I don't know about any tax arrears.
However, he called on persons not to go overboard in discussing the issue in the public domain. He declared that rules of privacy should be observed and suggested that there should be fairness across the board in the pursuit of information.
I think we have to be very careful about embarking upon a kind of red herring or witch hunt in relation to individuals on both sides who may be in breach of or who may have entered into arrangements.
He said it's not uncommon for both large and small companies to enter into arrangements with Tax Administration Jamaica to deal with compliance issues, and individuals from all walks of life have done the same. He wants matters of tax compliance to be dealt with strictly on a professional basis, and said as Minister of Finance, he does not meddle in people's tax affairs.
I have never, as Minister of Finance, gone to explore any individual taxpayer's situation. That has not come to my attention by virtue of my ministerial obligations. I have not gone to find out whether radio stations, television stations, media houses, or anybody have obligations in this regard. Because I believe that if we walk down that slope, it is a slippery slope.
However, shouldn't those who are seeking to enter Parliament check to ensure that they are tax compliant before they put themselves up to serve?
What we have done is to make, so to speak, tax administration, tax arrangements neutral, colorblind, neither in terms of your race, your color, your class, your political affiliation, or anything else. The law is the only standard which applies. And it applies to me, and ought to apply to everybody else.
Andrew Cannon, TVJ News.